Hey everybody, welcome back. This is the second part of our tutorial on how to animate still images in Adobe After Effects. So like I said, this is the second part. So if you're not sure what's going on, I suggest going back to see the first part of this tutorial to figure out where we're starting at over here. And yeah, so let's keep going with this project. Now that we're inside of our composition here, we had double-clicked our hot air balloons layer here. Oh, it looks like this nickname didn't take, so let's just rename that round. Okay, great. So I just want to show you, right, if you grab any of your assets over here, like the layers, look, I can move it around, and we have a nice blue background right underneath it. So it was great that we set it up this way. Now, we're going to animate it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to actually animate the left one first, and then we're just going to repeat the process with all of them. So click on any balloon that you want to animate, hit P for position. Okay, let's animate this left balloon here. We're gonna select it and we're gonna hit P for position on our keyboard. So let's hit this stopwatch here. That's gonna set a keyframe at the very beginning. Then I'm gonna move my playhead about a second and a half in. I'm gonna pull my Y coordinate down here, the vertical component down, and then I'll move it over here. Playhead maybe about to 3 seconds in. And I'm actually going to copy Command C or Control C my keyframe over here so it actually loops around. And the last thing that I'm going to do over here is I'm going to alt click the stopwatch and I'm going to type in loop out. Now this is a snippet. It's just a little bit of code, barely even, and we actually have a tutorial on that, but basically we can use this bit of code to automate certain processes. So I'm going to put loop out here, and if we hit play, so you can see it's going down, it's going to head right back up, and it should loop again right here. Great, and it dips down again. But I only have 3 keyframes. It's automatically going on its own. We're actually going to do the same thing with the other 2 balloons. I'm going to cut ahead, but you get the idea. One last thing to note, don't do the same exact animation, like offset it maybe by like a half second so they're not all going up and down like in sync, because that'll just look weird. Great, so now we've animated all these balloons. I'm going to select them all, so Control or Command A, close them. Okay, next up we are going to put in some text. So let's head up to Layer, New, come on, Layer, New, Text. You know, maybe let's type in, okay, some company name. Sure, this will be our company. And I'm going to place this one on the very top of my layer stack. Now, this is important because the way that your layer is organized, it's kind of like a deck of cards. If I had put it underneath, like this middle balloon here, it would get kind of clipped out. You see, like that? So I'm going to undo that, because we are going to save that for our next text layer. Layer New, Text, and let's put in some tagline. Let's say hot air balloon rides. I'm actually going to shrink this. I'm going to open up my Align tool set here. You don't really have to do this, but to do that I went over to Window, Align, and I'm just going to click this so they are... So now they're aligned. Now I'm going to take this tagline and I'm going to bring it underneath the middle balloon. It looks like my layers got jumbled a bit. I was messing around with them before. So now you see that it's actually hidden behind this balloon over here. The way that these text layers animate in is not such a big deal, but I'm going to show you just quickly how I did this. So let's head over to Effects and Presets on the right-hand corner. And I'm going to choose, let's say, Fade Up Words. I'm going to drop it onto my timeline here. I'm going to do the same for the tagline. So as I scrub through, it automatically animates in. These presets are really great for like quick. Okay, we're almost done. I know it's kind of been a long haul. So the last thing that we're going to be doing is that we're going to animate this all together. So we're going to open up a new layer, Layer New. I want a null layer. So a null object. I'm going to actually bring this one up all the way to the top. I'm going to color code it so it's not red. So I won't mix it up with the text. Now, if you're unfamiliar, a null object essentially is an empty layer. Or more accurately, it's more like an invisible layer, and you can attach different layers to your null invisible layer. So it's a bit like a marionette. When you move like the main controls, everything attached to it moves as well. So it's good for like animating a bunch of layers. Okay, now that we have a null layer, we're going to select, in fact, everything all together. and you see like this little swirl over here. You want this swirl near the end of the row over here. And we are going to parent it. We're going to parent this chunk of layers over to our null. And what that essentially means is that all of these layers are going to look to this null for direction. So if I open up position and I shift it down, everything moves together. One last thing, I'm just going to move these text layers over just a little bit so they start appearing in after the zoom in starts. Okay, so let's open up S for scale, Shift P for position, so we have position and scale present. And let's hit a keyframe, let's hit the stopwatch to set a keyframe for both. And I want to essentially follow the letters as they fade in and kind of rise up with the motion. So let's scale this thing up as if we're moving into the picture. And we're going to be using position to keep everything centered. So we're going to keep adjusting our X and Y coordinates. You can do it manually by clicking and dragging everything, but I just prefer this way. I actually want this to move a little bit slower because it's heading in 1 second. And then the last thing is that I'm animating it moving up a little bit, and I'm actually going to push this keyframe out, and then you collect everything together. Remember, right-click, keyframe assistant, easy ease, and I've moved this keyframe all the way out to 3 seconds just because I want it to kind of pan upwards like the balloons are rising, but I wanted to do it very slowly. So I'm going to actually trim this by hitting N, and let's preview our animation. Okay, so that's how you can animate a still image. You'll be seeing this technique used pretty much everywhere, like I mentioned. Think of motion graphics on an ATM machine, Instagram ads, even some kinds of animatics. Just the prepping image step is also really super useful, as you can leverage those skills into animating your own art as well. So yeah, that's all for this tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed learning how to animate still images in Adobe After Effects. If you have any questions or things you want to see in future videos, let us know in the comments. Tell us about any projects you're working on or any topics you'd like us to cover. This has been Sephora Designs for Noble Desktop.